I don't know, and I'm not going to sit here and ask you to do it tonight, but when you come before the council, are you against a charter city, against a general law city, or are you against a charter city with no prevailing wage provision? Just it'll be a clarification point for the council. Mr. Foote.
I am Orlando Foote. I live in Centro, and I am not here to advocate any position with regard to prevailing wages. I am here to ask a couple of questions. First and foremost is, as you might expect, what's broken about the current system that needs fixing. Whenever I hear the word, the term, local control, I get nervous. The reason I get nervous is because there is something in the legal framework that controls general law cities in this instance that somebody doesn't like and wants to get rid of. If it's prevailing wages, and I think you might have a little bit of a problem, but you can fix that. What else is it that you want that you can't do as a general law city? The comment about RFPs and RFQs being more flexible if you're a charter city. I question that. I think that if you want to do an RFQ, you can do an RFQ without going through many of the formalities that might otherwise apply to certain types of public works. If you want to do a request for qualification, you can certainly do that with certain types of activities and services. So in that context, I question the need for this type of change. I guess the main thing that I'm concerned about is the impression that there's a whole world out there that cities of this size can't realize because they're constrained by legislative mandate. I submit to you that there really are not many things that you can't do as a general law city, and as far as I'm concerned, there can be a great deal of mischief infused into local governance when a larger scheme of regulatory control is not in place. I think a perfect example of that it can be seen locally, and I'm not picking on any particular institution, but I think probably the closest thing that you could get to a charter activity is the Imperial Irrigation District. The enabling legislation for Imperial Irrigation District is virtually the same, it leaves virtually the same level of latitude as it has a general law city, a charter city provides you folks. The district doesn't have to pay, it doesn't have to go through the formal bidding process. It does have to pay prevailing wages, but otherwise, in terms of governance, it's every person for themselves. And I think that's a danger that could come into play in any local agency or community that shies away from an oversight or regulatory framework that is not predictable and controllable at a state level. The idea that one comment with regard to strong mayor, and to be sure, John, you mentioned that this is not an elected mayor does not make for a strong mayor. I would respectfully disagree. If a mayor, if a person wants to run for mayor, that person is running for mayor as for the purpose of acquiring leadership authority. And the leadership authority is going to be divided between the mayor and either the city council or your city manager. I don't think you're going to be as efficient as you would with simply continuing the status quo with regard to city manager. selected the city manager, you have one here. But if you can't select a city manager, then you better keep trying. Because if you're stuck with an elected mayor for 4 years, as been stated, you could be stuck with one. So I would encourage the most common question, it seems to me, that should be answered in the course of the dialogue as it knows, is what is it that you can't do now that you would be able to do and want to do with a charter in place? What things in the past have you wanted to do that you couldn't do with as a general law city? Those two questions seem to be very obvious. The only things that I've heard is, as a charter city, you would have to pay prevailing wages. That's one. The only other thing that I've heard that you want to do, that you say you might be restricted in doing, would be with regard to an ethics commission. I know the Brown Act pretty well, and I think that probably the Brown Act imposes some pretty strong, predictable, understandable, and universal constraints on ethical conduct, legal conduct, and what happens and what doesn't happen in the public sector. So if those are the only things that you need, I think that a charter city would produce more mischief than keeping the status quo. I'm basically not a status quo person, but in this particular instance, I do feel constrained to speak out.
Okay, any additional comments? Sure. I'm not, as I said earlier, going to answer any items. As far as opinion, but if you have clarification questions, I'll try to answer them for you. Okay, Scott.
Scott, a couple observations based on my layman understanding of everything. So first, I would say districting the council members, I see that as a bad idea due to the shifting populations. I really see no straight lines for how you could divide up the city of El Centro. I think I would encourage petty politics at the council level, as well as provide more of a hindrance to city development. I'd also like to say that really should maintain the strong city manager position. But I would like to agree with Mr. Foote brought up the issue of ethics. I think that is a very interesting issue, and that should possibly be explored more in future situations as ethics violations. I think that's something that should be more addressed in future reviews of the city.
Any additional comments? Yeah, my name is Matt Desert. I'm a resident in El Centro, and I'd like to congratulate the city of El Centro on their works they've been doing, putting their finances together, getting a healthy bank account together, especially during these tough economic times that we're in at this time. The country is going through some big changes. We have a new president. We're all going to need to work forward to go ahead and make things work out as we move forward during these difficult times for the next few years. Hopefully it's only a few years. I disagree with Mr. Foote. I think it's a great direction to go. You've got to take it on full heart and review it, analyze it. As far as conflict of interest or other items such as those, you're going to run into those in any kind of government. They happen all the time. There's ways to deal with them, and there's ways to go forward. With regards to the prevailing wages, the state and federal money that will be coming to the city of El Centro will be mandated to be worked on with the federal and state wages at the prevailing wage. That is, the state and federal money will be mandated to be paid or worked out at prevailing wage. Your limited resources that you generate here from the city of El Centro, your city of El Centro funds, gives you the opportunity to get more bang for the buck with those